Hello, my crafty friends. Well, when I didn't stream on Thursday, I told y'all that I would do a video of what I had planned to do on a stream. And those of you who saw me when I was on streaming with Tanya a couple of weeks ago, on my blending board, I made a couple of roll-logs, and I call them roll-logs because I took everything off the blending board in one big roll instead of smaller ones. Usually you can get 3 or 4 small ones off of a full blending board, but I just took it off as one big messy log. And I did 2 of those, and then that was all we got done. And so I decided to take the other half, and that's what this is, those big messy roll-logs. And then I did the other half on my drum carder, and it spun a much more consistent, smooth yarn. Now there are still some puffy bits in this, and there are a few locks I managed to get to wiggle out, but it was hard to get the stuff to wiggle out of this one. So there's no way I could have spun this from this preparation. I mean, I don't know that I could have, because this, I just let it do whatever it wanted to do, and this messy thing is what came out. I'm a little concerned that parts of this might not even want to stick together. So we're going to see. I've never spun like this. Even my very first attempts at spinning were not this messy. But what I was spinning from, what I made my roll legs from, is this yummy bunch of fibers that I got from freshlotusdesign.com, and it's a fun mashup of approximately 12 ounces of fabulous fiber. Each bag contains kettle-dyed, high-quality luxury mill-ends, fine wools, silks of all types, blends, as well as 2 ounces of Wensleydale or Teeswater curly locks. Super fun for spinners and felters, and it makes a great gift for fiber artists. So I took some of each thing that was in here, and that's what I made my roll logs from and my bat from. And this is about the same amount of fiber, give or take like 1 gram, I think. It's the same amount of fiber. Now probably there's a lot more yardage on this than this, and so we'll see how it ends up when I apply it together. But I did a mixture of that and some fleece out of this bag. And this is a Gulf Coast native fleece, and it's a very springy, bouncy, crimpy wool, and it really liked to clump together. So when you see these big fluffy white parts, that's this, that just all clump together. It's very nice. I like it. I'm going to try to spin the rest of this, as a natural yarn. But I wanted to put some more white in with this because it's supposed to represent the ocean, and I needed some frothy bits. Okay. I'm going to try to ply these. Let me move this out of the way so it doesn't catch on my spinning wheel. I'm going to try to ply these together with several different techniques. Since I've never done anything like this before, I want to try different techniques. And basically what it really is different angles. Make sure that's caught. Okay. Different angles when I'm applying them together of one or the other. Typically, when I apply things together, I hold them parallel to each other as they come off of the lacquette. I hold them together so that they ply straight, and that's how you get the most consistent ply. But for this, we're wanting them to wrap on each other in different ways to make a different kind of yarn. I'm not trying to get a consistent yarn. And I think I probably did these backwards. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to turn them around. And I say that because I think I have a lot more yardage of this one. And I'm afraid, let me just show you. I'm afraid that if I try to put this one around this one, it won't stay together as well. This will help this become sturdier, if that makes sense. And you can see a difference, and the difference is even more pronounced in some areas. But, so I'm going to try applying them together first, you know, like I normally do. And then I'm going to try holding this one at a little bit of an angle and letting it wrap onto that one, and then holding it at more of an angle. And then I may try switching them and doing it the other way just to see. All of this whole thing is an experiment. So, but it definitely outlines the difference in preparation. Okay, just a second. I didn't load some. I didn't load twist into my leader, and if you don't do that, it takes the twist out of your yarn when you take it off, and I don't want that. Okay, when you've been spinning one direction, when you make your single plies, you spin one direction, and then when you put them together, you spin the opposite direction. So if you were using this to spin the singles, and then you turn around and use it to ply, you have to take out the twist that's in it already and put new twist in it so that it has the twist going the right direction. And I've slowed down my spinner because I think that probably I want this to be not plied as tightly as I normally ply my yarns. Like I said, it's all an experiment, so we're just going to go for it and see what happens. But like I said, I'm going to start. Okay, whoa. I almost made a big mistake from the very beginning, and thankfully I realized it now, because if I realized it in a minute, it would cause a big issue. So let's take these out. Right here, this is an orifice reducer. It'll only let yarn that big go through it. This stuff is bigger than that. When I spun it without the orifice reducer. So, I don't need the orifice reducer on there to apply it, or I'll end up with a mess. Okay, now we're going to try again. And I'm doing this, you know, I'm not worried about the whole bobbin looking the same, because I'm going to use it to weave with. And this kind of yarn I probably wouldn't use, you know, the whole thing together anyway. Okay, I'm going to show you what it looks like on here right now. This is the yarn we've got. I need to move my arm a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and do some more like this. I just wanted you to kind of see what it's looking like. And it'll look different, you know, through the different parts. See, this looks barely plied together, and this is plied pretty good. And that's just the difference in the thick and thin, puffy parts and normal parts. Well, what I call normal. See, this is much more. And because this already was barber poled in the singles, the doubles almost look cabled. And I find that fascinating. But we've also got these puffy bits here that are, you know, and here you've got some that's, it's just a mix of stuff, just depending on what comes up. I like the look of this where it's sorry, where you can see puffy and thin, puffy thin, puffy thin. But I'm using about the same amount of each bobbin when I'm doing it this way. And here's where there's some locks in there, and they mostly just came out straight, you know. I mean, this is a lock right here, one lock, so it didn't. And then this is, you know, smaller bits. It'll definitely make texture in a weaving. And if I had one that was really thick all the time and one that was really thin all the time, you wouldn't have these areas where it's barely wrapped and then areas where it's wrapped really well. It would all be more evenly done because the twist goes to the thinnest areas. It'll just skip over this and go down here. That's just the nature of how it works. So that's part of why it, you know, the different parts of it look so different. See, this was a little bit more similar, and so it wrapped a little bit differently. And I'm too far away for you to see, but I was afraid you wouldn't be able to see what was going on at all if I had you up too close. Let's scoot this a little bit. Now here's a lock. I'm going to get that to stick out like that instead of be caught up in the ply. That's one that was in this. Oh, I'm not sure now. Okay, when I move the deal again here in just a second, then I'm going to try a different angle and we'll see how different it looks. Okay. Okay. Now you can see this looks a little bit more consistently thick and thin. And this, it's wrapped a little bit more along the puffy part. And that's because I'm holding it not next to each other, but not at a straight right angles either. And now if I hold it at this angle, well, it's hard for me to do that. So we may not get one of those. There's another lock. Let's pull it out. This is actually making a more consistent yarn than doing it the way I was doing it at first. But basically this, I'm trying to get this yarn to wrap around that one, but it feels like this yarn is wrapping around this one's because of where I've got it in there. That's what's happening. So I did the wrong thing when I moved it. I was thinking of where my hand would be instead of the fact that the yarn's coming off of this one. And I can't make this one wrap that as easily because it's coming from this side and the yarn is being spun this direction. So I'm going to do a little bit more like this, and then we're going to flip these two and see if we do it the other direction what we get. This is way faster to ply than the yarns I normally spin. Well, it was faster to spin too. Okay, now I'm going to do them together just a little bit longer. Again. Trying to decide which I like the best. It doesn't probably really matter very much because when I'm weaving it, it's just going to look like texture anyway. They're all going to look good in a weaving. Which is why now that I can weave again, that's why I finally got the courage up to play with this kind of yarn. Okay, there's a piece of vegetable matter. And I need to move this again. Well, let's go ahead and do a little bit more. I still have quite a bit on here, so. Okay, let's pull that lock out. I worked hard to get that to come out of there. So we're going to go ahead with it here. Move that a little bit. I may not get this all in one bobbin because it's so floofy. Uh-oh. Sometimes you have to wind them on by hand if something gets kind of stuck. This is not my favorite stuff to spin. I mean, it was fun, but it's not. I'm not as excited about it as I thought I would be, to be honest. Okay, let's do a little bit more. Scoot it down a little bit. Okay, well, I'm getting closer to being out of that one than I realized, so I'm going to go ahead and switch them. Come on. I've got magnets underneath these trying to weight them a little bit more. Okay. Now then. Now the thin one is wrapping around the thick one. And it's it making a more even yarn. It's hard to know if this is going to be balanced or not. Let's see if we need to move that a little bit. Okay, my screen keeps timing out. I hope it's not messing up the video. I'll find out when I get through here. Typically, when you do this kind of thing, you put one yarn on one side of you and one yarn on the other side of you. But my setup isn't where I can actually do that. So this is probably, it would work better if I was sitting in a way that I could do that. But whew. It's actually a little bit harder work than doing it the normal way, because usually I just have to sit here and do this. not that. Anyway, this is what it's looking like now. I'm going to do another video where I show you some different yarns and things that I did, and I'll show you the result of this when I do that video. Okay, you can see more how this yarn, maybe you can't, it's just wrapped around. Okay, so we're going to go back to holding them together for a little bit. I'm having a hard time deciding if I like one of those better than the other. I think there are some pieces where I like one better and some pieces where I like the other one better. So just because of all the different textures that are in here, it's kind of hard to decide. Okay, is that getting caught up? It got caught and then it got itself loose. So I may have pushed it in there a little too fast. Let's move the thing. Well, there's not very much left on this bobbin of the fat puffy stuff, so I'll probably get a whole skein that's just this fat puffy stuff, and then I may save the rest of this stuff that was from the bat and spin it with something else later. See what happens with that. Maybe spin something really fine and make this one the fat one for that one. I don't know. I feel freer to do a lot of experimenting now that I know I can weave with anything. I can't think of things to crochet with just anything. But you can put, you can weave anything, so. It's definitely going to be textured, which is what I wanted. Okay, whoops. Playing bobbin chicken now, just trying to get it all on there. We're getting close, so I'm hoping we can. I may have to wind the last bit on by hand, but I also, and I guess I could, do a blanket in small squares, crocheted from small bits, but I'm not as worried about trying to do 4 ounces of something now that I can weave, because you can use, smaller bits in your weavings. Okay, we're just almost there. Okay, right here's the end of this bobbin, and I'm going to cut it because I'm not going to try to break that. Alright, I'll take this off and let you see what it looks like. Let me go ahead and flip this back and turn this back up, because the next thing I'm going to spin today will not be plying. Okay, here's what it looks like. Let's see if I can get it to focus better. There you go. That's what it looks like right now. So when we get it in a skein, we'll see what it looks like. Okay. While I'm here, I might as well take this bobbin that I'm finished with and just load it back on the wheel so I can take it to my recliner and spin something else. Sometimes I over tighten my tension. That comes back to be an issue later. Oh no, that's actually where I need it this time. I always put my strings on this end, and for some reason when I put this bobbin together I didn't. And I always have to change where I start. It's not a problem, it's just I don't know why I did it that time, and I probably should fix it and I wouldn't have to worry about it, but I haven't bothered to do that. This is, let me show you what I've got left on this one. I'd say more than half of it. But that's what this one looks like. What's left on there. Oh, I took it off autofocus, sorry. Come on. Focus. I don't know how much of it's the camera and how much of it's that I can't hold it still. There you go. Okay. Well, I will see you in the next video, and when I do, I'll have this in a skein so you can see what it looks like. I'm not sure if I'll take it all the way to washing it and drying it first or not. That would be a better true example of what the finished yarn looks like, but depends on how fast I get around to making that other video. Okay, God bless you. Love you. I did I don't know if I said this, but I did a bat on a stream that I made this from, the thinner yarn from a bat, and I did the row logs on Tanya's stream, both of those within the last couple of weeks. So if you want to look back and find those to see me making the two different preparations and why they spun so differently. This one, in order to get any bits of the locks to stick out, I had to really finagle. It wanted to spin a pretty consistent yarn, and so there's a big difference between the bat preparation and the messy roll log preparation. It was a fun experiment. Love you. God bless you. Bye bye.